Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and I'm here at EGX Res with Seb from Sumo Digital for the wonderful Snake Pass, as I'm sure you can see here. How are you?
Good, tired, very pumped up from the game being out and finally getting reviews and getting feedback from the players. So yeah, I'm sort of all over the place, really.
Excellent, yeah, because it was actually you who essentially spearheaded the initial concept of Snake Pass, wasn't it? It was something to do with, well, you talk us through it. Talk us through from the rope.
Right, so I've got a very different background than most game designers. I used to be a biology teacher 5 years ago. And this means I, in university, studied biology. And I had 2 pet snakes during that time. So that's a little bit of background before I go into the actual story. So as a biology teacher, I used to spend a lot of time playing Little Big Planet and making content as a community creator. And I got quite good at that, gathered a lot of fame within the community. And that really made me think that I wanted to become a game designer. So I really put all my heart and passion into the stuff I made. Which finally, after a couple of years, got noticed by the people who were making Little Big Planet 3, which was Sumo Digital at the time. All this is 5 years ago, so I was still a biology teacher at that point. They sent me an email, would you like to come work for us? I pretty much instantly quit my teaching job and moved to England and started working for Sumo. So I initially worked on Little Big Planet, my favorite game, at that point anyway. And after Little Big Planet was done, I had to move on to a new project. But because I had no real training as a game designer, I was unfamiliar with Unreal Engine, which was what the next project was being built in. So Sumo gave me a couple of weeks to try to learn the engine. And the way I try to learn new software usually is just, I set a goal for myself and I just try to make it and I learn as I go. So the thing I was trying to make at that point was a completely physical rope that would swing when a player walks into it. So as I was creating this rope, at some point I pressed play. I didn't attach the rope to the ceiling, and when I saw it collide on the floor and collide with itself in this really nice, smooth shape, and I saw that, I thought, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. There's something really unique about that. So my initial idea was to try to make the rope into a character. So after a couple of evenings working on that, I had the rope sliding over the floor. And then obviously with my biology background and the fact that I had pet snakes, I was like, this could be a snake. So I started turning it into a snake and really applying the knowledge that I have about muscles and snakes to the rope to make it work like a real muscle and like a real snake. And the more it approached the reality, the more it started working like a real snake. It suddenly started to be able to do all these cool climb moves that are now the signature gameplay of Snake Pass. So it is sort of just a random mistake while making a rope and then thinking, hey, there's something there, and then working from there, adding my biology knowledge on top, and yeah, that's kind of how the original prototype came into existence.
The rest is history.
Yeah, very much. Now it is.
It's excellent. I must admit, as far as the game goes, as you said, when you said you'd never seen anything like it before, we've never seen a game quite like this before. You know, sort of, it's difficult to even put it into a genre. So if you had to give it a genre, even if it's making up a new one, what would you sort of classify it as?
I recently came up with something new, which is, I would classify it as an interactive toy, a digital toy. Noodle is a digital toy. And the levels that he is in the levels that you play are like a playground for you to play around with this toy. Essentially, it is a puzzle platformer where you can't jump. But yeah, like you say, it is really difficult to put it in a box. There's literally nothing like it. Nothing plays like Snake Pass. So, but I like the idea of there's something very physical about it. You get better at it. It's almost comparable to a yo-yo or something that you train and get better at. So yeah, it's difficult to describe, honestly. You really got to try it to really experience what Snake Pass is like.
It's difficult to try, it's difficult to play as well. So do you have any hints or tips for anyone out there who's struggling a little bit with Snake Pass, or maybe is a little bit put off by how difficult it looks?
Well, obviously we have our line, think like a snake, which is more than just a marketing line. It is actually the best way to approach the game. Try to consider your entire body. Like, you can't go through Snake Pass only thinking about what your head does. You have to constantly consider what does that mean for the rest of my body, and always look for extra contact points. And the biggest mistake that new players make, and why some of them are getting put off by it, is they just expect to be able to pick it up and instantly be able to play it. And you'll see a lot of new players, they just want to hold the right trigger, which is what makes you slither. It's what actually stretches out your body, and that's the biggest mistake that you can make. You only want to hold the right trigger as long as you're slithering over a smooth surface. As soon as you start climbing, you want to be feathering the trigger and only move when you're ready to move again, and really start thinking about which buttons you press in which order, and then slowly train your brain to press the right buttons at the right time, and at some point it will click with you and you'll start using gravity and friction and the entire body of the snake, and you'll realize that there's a ton of things you can do with him that you initially didn't think were possible.
And in regards to the, because obviously, you know, we're concerned with the Nintendo Switch version, unsurprisingly. I've heard whispers on the wind, I don't know whether I've got any clarification, that it actually only took a week to port the version to the Switch. Is that true?
Yeah, 7 work days is what the coders are telling me, yeah.
Good Lord. So I imagine it, you know, sort of, it's an easy thing to work with then.
Yeah, it's been really smooth for us, and that is largely due to the huge support we got from both Epic and Nintendo. Obviously, it's in their interest very much that an Unreal game on the Switch, that's like a huge thing. If you look at all the games that are currently being made in the Unreal Engine, and imagine that essentially all those should be possible to run on the Switch. So that just means that a ton of great games will be able to come out on the Switch. So we had a lot of support from both Unreal and Nintendo to smooth out the porting process. We pretty much had a direct line to both of the parties, and whenever we ran into a problem or we had a question, we were always able to contact them, and they would talk to each other. And it was an awesome cooperation to try to get Unreal run on the Switch as well as possible.
That's excellent, that's excellent. But I think a lot of people out there are wondering, is this it? Or is there going to be Snake Pass 2, maybe some DLC? Anything on the horizon for Snake Pass?
We really hope. The whole team loved working on this game, and it is a small project. Like Sumo Digital is a big company. We make AAA games for hire, and we're normally a safe pair of hands, and this is like our first own IP. The whole team absolutely loved working on this, and during the development of Noodle and the game, we ran into a ton of potential ideas, and everybody who plays it can come up with things that we could have done but we haven't done. So there's absolutely a ton of stuff that we would love to do, and it will largely depend on how successful Snake Pass will be. If we actually get the chance to put all the other ideas that we have into action, hopefully as DLC, and maybe even after that a sequel. And personally, I really like the idea of DLC because you have to learn the game. So half of the game that we have brought out now it starts off really simple, and at the moment that we have DLC, you can assume that everybody who buys this DLC knows Noodle in and out. Like everybody knows exactly what he can do. So we don't have to worry about training you anymore. We can just go straight into the awesome stuff that we still know that we can let you do. So yeah, I would love to do DLC, but it will largely depend on how successful the title is.
Excellent. Well, Seb, thank you so much for joining us.
You're more than welcome.
And thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you slither towards that subscribe button, and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.